How's Aaron Robinson looked from something that's not a typical football injury? How's he look coming back?
He's had a good week. He's been into it. He was into it even when he was out. He would come in and could barely move and was still in meetings, taking notes, being locked in. And that's what you love about the kid. He's always going to give you everything he's got. You never question that. We'll just see how it goes from here.
The last time you were out here, you made a big point of saying you loved Adoree's physicality in the run game week 1. Mm-hmm. Have you still seen that from him? And then this week, I would think that's even more important than ever for all your DBs to all your corners to be physical.
Yeah, this week to me is going to be very similar to that Tennessee game. That as a DB, buckle up tight. It's going to be a big dose of run game, and they're going to make us crack replace. They're going to make us tackle. We got to be up to that challenge. We got to know it's that type of game, and we got to respond and do what's asked of us.
What do you think of the way Adoree's play? We've mentioned this a couple times. He, for whatever reason, he doesn't get the profile that a typical number 1 corner gets, that people don't talk about him in that vein. I know he gave up the TD, but I felt like he was even right there on the TD. How do you think he's played through 3 games?
Yeah, right on specifically on the TD, I thought he was in good position. That kid made a great catch. And for me, we're going back over that play with my guys, we always talk about, never get beat across your face. It's the easy throw. Mm-hmm. Make the quarterback make the hard throw that's over you, that he's got to make the one-hand catch on. So, he got beat, but he got beat where he's supposed to get beat and the way he's supposed to get beat. And, you give that, again, the quarterback and the receiver credit for making a great play in that situation. And I looking at us where we are right now, we're 2-1, and our only goal is to get to 3-1. And everybody is focused on that alone, to get to 3-1, win 1 game this week, go 1-0 this week. Last week is behind us. Next week we can't do anything about. All we have is Friday to have a great practice today, go out, function at a high level, communicate at a high level, execute at a high level, so that, again, we get to 1-0 this week.
You mentioned Tennessee game. What did you take from that with the run game that you're bringing into this week?
And just the mindset. The mindset that we are going to have to play with consistently throughout the season. We got to have that approach every week in the back end. Every week is a Tennessee week for us from now on. We got to show up. We got to tackle. We got to turn the ball back. We got to do things that help our defense have success in the run game.
What has Fabian shown you in the short time he's been here?
That he's a pro, that he comes to work every day. He's really locked in. He's really smart, knows a lot of football, stuff that I can't coach. He knows a lot of stuff just from his experience in the league. He's a good other voice to have in the room. I think, when you have a veteran guy who's been in battles and played against some of these receivers that we're going to face coming up, he has a perspective that's unique. And so he speaks up and is very, very bright. He's done a great job in coverage down the field. So we just continue to expect him to just keep getting better.
When you're facing a younger quarterback, and we know Justin Fields is very talented, can you coach guys to maybe try to take a few more chances, bait him into stuff, try to get some turnovers because maybe he hasn't seen as much as some other quarterbacks that you're going to face?
In this game, I think it's going to be a game where we just have to go out and execute our assignments and not try to over engineer near things. I think, those plays will come if you execute at a high level. And I think that's what we're going to be focused on this week, execution at a high level, and do our best to get to 1-0 this week.
What do you think of Monday night's performance?
We need to improve. We were all there. We need to get better. It wasn't our best day. We didn't put our best foot forward. I think every guy would tell you that. I'm pretty sure when you guys asked the players, they all felt the same way. It's a universal message, Yeah, it's a good front. They played well. We didn't.
What were you telling Evan this week and just trying to get him back?
I was telling him that, the last rookie that didn't have a bad game or a bad stretch was, what's his name? Nobody. Every rookie's had a bad stretch. So don't be too hard on yourself. He has the tools. It wasn't like he was making mental errors, all right? So he did a lot of things that he can control the right way. He just needs to use it as a learning experience, and that, hey, you don't have time to dwell on it. Move on to the next. So what the media doesn't see is how the kid worked the next opportunity he had when we had a walkthrough. He approached it like it was a real practice. And I told him, hey, we'll slow down, okay? So he's about the right things. This is why he's here. It's why we liked him as a coaching staff and as a personnel department. And I'm confident that he'll learn from it. He'll grow. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that he won't have another bad stretch. No, I'm not going to tell you any of that because he's a rookie. Every rookie's had a bad game, bad stretch, bad series, whatever it is. Our job as coaches is to step back and evaluate, what did we do? All right? Did we provide the help that he needed? Any player, not just Evan. Did we give him the tools to put him in position to succeed? How can we adjust to help the individual, the player? And then next, evaluate the player. Did the player do something to cause a negative play? And that's how we approach it. And we're going to do that. We did that when we were winning, though, too. So nothing really changed. As a coach, you make a critical error if you walk in after a loss and you make it different. You go through the same process. Regardless of the outcome, you go through the same process. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think the kid understood that. I think he was a little bit surprised by it, to be honest with you. So
This is all new to him. He's never really had a clunker like that in his life, he said.
yeah. And I'm sure he could probably go back and find a game where he probably played. With Evan, he holds himself to a very high, very, very high standard. So I'm pretty sure if he really dug deep in his brain, he could find maybe a game where he didn't play the way he wanted to. I'm probably pretty sure this is the first time he played poorly on Monday night, because why? It's the first time he played on Monday night. You know what I mean? So he's a good kid, and I say that because he just turned 22. I think we need to keep that into perspective. Every rookie's had that, and I think all his teammates were very supportive of that and said, "Hey, I've had a bad game as well." So I think that helped him. That just goes to show you what type of locker room we have. So.
Because Evan's a rookie, or really any other rookie.
Yeah.
When they have a bad game or make mistakes, and like a guy like Evan holds himself to a high standard, is it harder for him or them to shake that off as opposed to a veteran who's been there and done that?
Maybe. I think that here's the thing, and we talked about, the poem "The Man in the Arena." Nobody really understands. I can sit here and tell you, this is what I think, this is what I believe. I've not taken one snap inside of a professional football stadium and played a play. I can only give him advice. You know what I mean? I think any professional holds themselves to a higher standard, and I think they take to heart a bad performance, because very few of us have a profession where we walk in front of 60, 70, 80,000 people and say, evaluate me. I think if that was the case in a lot of professions, a lot of people say, nah, I don't want that, okay? So I think they probably all take it to heart. I think Evan and other rookies, yes, because it's their first time, it's a new experience, but that's where it's so valuable to have veterans around, good veterans like we have, to help them, hey buddy, I did this, and I think that helps them get through it quicker. If you didn't have veterans like that in your locker room, I think it may linger. Does that make sense?
How did you see those veterans kind of pick Evan up this week?
I mean, as soon as the locker room, I watched Saquon Barkley walk right over to him and pat him on the back and say, hey buddy, we got you. I've had a bad game. I think that goes a long way for a guy like Evan to see, a superstar go, hey, I've had a bad game. And I don't know the details of all their entire conversation. That's the beauty of a locker room. That's their area, and I'm sure there's conversations that went on. And I know that they, were helpful to him. But I think that goes a long way. And I could see, is he walking around hanging his head? Absolutely not. And that speaks volumes to me. You know what I mean? Anybody?
Do you have to make any adjustments to what you're asking any of your linemen to do, or is it more about just executing better on the schemes you guys already are running?
Well, I don't want to give competitive advantage to anybody that we play. So, yes and yes. like I said before you walked over here, we as coaches, whether it's a win or loss, we evaluate, did we put the players in position to succeed first? First and foremost, that's what you do. If we didn't, then how can we? After that, evaluate the player. So that's kind of how we do it, and we did that after the first 2 wins. Did that after a loss. It's all about the same process. You got to make sure you get consistent. Make sure you're consistent, whether it's a veteran player or a rookie player, consistent. So, yes and yes.
I know going in, obviously you guys had, Dave said you had him on a pitch, you had him and Aziz on a pitch count.
Right, yeah.
Aziz being in his second year, maybe he's been there before. For Kayvon, what's that like during the game when you're pulling him out, telling him he's not going in? That certain, I know you probably script it out, but is he the kind of guy who's, give me a couple more, Drew, give me this, give me that? What is that like?
Both those guys for sure are competitive, and you told them they could be out there every play, they'd be excited about it. But both of them, we had a great plan throughout the week. That's the thing here, there's such great communication from our training staff to Coach Dable to Wink down to the rest of the coaches, and then spread that with the players. The clear lines of communication make that easier, make the expectations known of, who's playing, how much they're playing, things like that. So they had definitely had a good plan throughout the week. We repped and practiced the stuff they were going to play in the game, and it worked out well for us. We'll just, keep building them up from there.
So safe to assume the pitch count gets a little higher now that they're week 2 being back?
Yeah, I think that's a process, and it's, week to week you look at how they came out of a game, how they go, and I think with all of our guys, that's something that we're conscious of is what's the ideal play count each week, and, as that health gets better, that obviously those 2 guys are going to grow.
How does Kayvon get to a point where when the team sends like a receiver or a tight end to block him, that he just overpowers them to the point where the team can't run that again?
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about rookie growth from week to week. It's block recognition as much as it is anything else. So with him, really with all of our guys, it's recognizing, hey, okay, out of this formation, you're going to get this, so that the next time he gets that look, he's going to play it even better than he did the first time. And that's really every run at every personnel group. And what a great test this week against a really good run team in Chicago, that we're going to get all kinds of runs, all kinds of personnel groups to really test our keys, and that's been a huge focus for us all week.
So it's like he could play either ahead of it or through it if he's anticipating it versus if he's not looking for that specific block.
Yeah, I think whether it's run, pass, screen, just that anticipation, and that, the more you see it, right? Like, we can talk about it. He studies as much as anybody studying tape. Like, he watches a ton of tape. Yeah. But when you really see it live action in game, full speed, that first time you see it, now you understand it a little bit more the next time you see it. And that's the encouraging part with him and all those guys, is it's that you're going to see that growth the next time you get any of those plays.
You guys have talked about, between Wink and you and being in this defense, you want to dictate to the opponent. How difficult is it to dictate to an opponent that is stubborn, that does not, they don't want to come out here and throw the ball 30 times, let alone 15 times.
For sure.
So how do you dictate that? Can you dictate that, or do you almost have to scheme against that, knowing that they're not going to change?
Yeah, I think, and you guys have probably seen it throughout the first 3 weeks, it's really a different game plan each week. So if you know that a team plays a certain way, we understand, okay, if a team runs more, we're going to play that different than a team's throwing the ball around the yard 60 times. So, we go in with that game plan, but it's still, you can play any defense and have that attack mindset and understand, okay, this guy does this, we're triggering off this and going. So it's totally different week to week in this league because offenses are totally different. But you understand, we're still dictating the tempo, we're still dictating the terms to them.
Dallas obviously had some success on the edges. Was there anything consistent you saw there, or different things on different plays?
Yeah, I think you look at it play by play, and there's certainly things everybody would like to improve, but it wasn't necessarily one thing. It's really recognizing, hey, from play to play, we could have done this different. This play's a different look. Play this one. I would say it wasn't one common theme there. It's just we're fighting every day to get better at those little details.
Is Wink crankier in a week that you guys don't stop the run?
The thing I love about Wink is how consistent he is. He's the same guy, win, lose, great game on defense, tough game on defense. He's going to be the same guy coming in here. Positive attitude. We're blasting music in that meeting the day after the game. He's as consistent as I've ever seen regardless of outcome, regardless of how the game's going, he doesn't flinch. And you see that effect on our players. They're not going to flinch. We've been in 3 tough games, and all 3 games our guys are fighting till the end because there is no flinch on the sideline. Everybody's locked in, and it's that next play mentality. We're focused on the next play, and that starts with our leader. That starts with, at the top, we know we're not getting anything other than consistency and going all in every play, and that's credit to Wink and the guy he is, but also understand how he's able to affect everybody else with that.
Drew, a lot of times when we ask questions about the two guys, we lump them together. It's Kayvon and Azeez, Kayvon and Azeez. Do you find yourself doing that, and you have to remind yourself to separate them, that they are different players?
The thing we all love about that outside backer room, not just those two, but everybody, is they're all so versatile. They all have that skill set. So those two are very versatile players. They have obviously strengths that you guys see, but that whole room, you feel great about all of them being out there, and it's Jihad Ward, the way he's stepped up and played such a physical brand of football. O'Shane Jimenez, the versatility you see there, lining them up inside, it lets us, be multiple in what we do, and you saw there were times last game where 4 outside backers there at the same time doing different jobs on the field together, and that's something with Azeez, with Kayvon, with all those guys, you understand and appreciate that they're different, but they're all playing a physical brand of football, high-effort brand of football.
Is there a scripted way that you decide which is on the left, which is on the right, or do they do that on their own? Or
so sometimes the call dictates it based on what personnel we're in. Sometimes it's the matchups that we like, I'm not going to tell you going into it, but we have a plan for this week on who's going to be where in certain situations. And then some weeks it's how a guy feels, if he feels good on that side. That's that communication. You guys see it on the bench every drive. We're talking about the best way to attack, and that's one of the things that comes up is which side we'll be on for some of those. And that really, Wink has a great plan for that, a great feel for how to attack a protection, attack an offensive line. So you see that with him, dictating that.
How did you react to Kenny's saying that he was confused about why his playing time was reduced?
I didn't react to any of that. No.
But he just mentioned the coaches and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think Kenny's doing fine. Yeah. Don't have any reaction to it.
Do you feel
Mike? How do you get him more involved?
What's that? I think that we just got to find a rhythm offensively, and whatever the case may be, whether we're running or throwing it. I don't think there's a magic formula out there. Yeah.
Wait, is there a way to get? How do you balance? I guess
I just don't think that you can force anything.
That's what I was going to.
It's got to be organic.
Versus I have to get.
It just has to be organic, and find your rhythm offensively, get some traction, and then once you do that, then, usually good things start to happen.
Do you feel like more explosive plays might come if you can? Like now you lose Sterling, but you also don't have Tony, and I think you guys expect Wandell to be that a little bit. Do you think just not having all those guys together has contributed to not having more of those plays?
Certainly when you have guys that, going into the season, you have certain expectations for, and then those guys aren't available, things change, but that, just creates opportunities for other guys, and we all got to do our part and step up and make the plays when the plays come to us.
What does Richie James do well? That's kind of almost become Daniel's safety blanket in a lot of those kind of third medium, third and short
Richie
situations.
Just has done a really good job since he's been here of being where he's supposed to be, when he's supposed to be there, and then making the play when the plays come to him. And he's earned that trust with all the quarterbacks that he's worked with throughout the course of the spring and in training camp, and then has made the plays in the game. So that's usually the natural progression for any receiver, particularly if they're new to a system, just earning the trust of the quarterback. And you make one, you probably get another chance for another one.
There's a lot of decision making in the slot, right? Depending on what he's going to do based on leverage and stuff like that. How has he kind of figured that out with Daniel so that they are consistently on the same page?
Yeah, I keep hearing that every time I come out here. There's a lot of, we have some routes that have decisions to make on them, but not every route.
No, of course.
And but I think Richie is a smart guy, and he's an instinctive route runner. And I think his body language expresses itself to the quarterback, which is important for any receiver, not just guys in the slot, but to be able to anticipate before a guy is necessarily open as he's going to be approaching a window, so that it gives the quarterback confidence to let it go a click early. That's important for all the guys, and that's why the time, getting the timing in practice is so important too.
When did you realize and start to say David Sills could be a part of this offense? And I mean, I think everybody's surprised that he ended up being, really he's been your starter and getting more snaps than almost anybody.
Yeah, I think, kind of the same answer in terms of the way I described what Richie's done. David's done a really good job with that, and just being certainly being available, and then knowing what to do, how to do it, why we're doing it. Having a lot of position flexibility to be able to play different roles too has increased his value.
He did a good job with that. Daniel does a good job in the pocket. He made good decisions. When he had to run, he ran. When he could stand in there, he stood in there. He did a really good job with it. I was happy to see that from him.
What are you telling him throughout a game like that and trying to just keep him focused? I mean, we've talked about, I think it was last week, just how good he is to come back from stuff in a short term.
Telling him to stay focused, keep doing what he's doing, keep doing a good job making the decisions that he made. He did a good job of recognizing when he could run, when he could stay in the pocket. And that's the most important thing that you want a guy to do, is be able to differentiate between the two, and he did a really good job with it. And then coming off the sidelines, he was great, ready to go back out there again.
Thank you.
Has there been any update in terms of working with Daniel? Has there been anything that you try to push the coaching staff where, okay, we need to run more rollouts if the offensive line is struggling a little bit? Or is there any communication like that you try to relay to the coaching staff?
Yeah, we talk about it every week of, what's the best thing to do for the players? What's the best thing to do against the defense we're playing? So those are ongoing discussions every week. And, you adjust throughout the game as you're watching it of what to do more of, what to do less of. I think, all the coaching staffs are having those discussions week to week.
And what have you seen from the Bears so far through 3 weeks that's different than Dallas that you're trying to prepare Daniel for in this game?
Yeah, I don't think there's a huge difference. They're a fast defense. They play to their strengths. They coach them up really well over there. It's only 3 weeks for them in the system, much like us, and you can see the attention to detail they have. They play fast. They run to the ball. They play hard. And that's a credit to the coaching staff and their players over there. They do a really good job with that.
And what about Roquan Smith? He's a linebacker most of the offseason. Didn't know if he was going to be in Chicago or not. How do you prepare for a linebacker like that who can also cover, slot guys, tight ends, but also play the rush so well?
Yeah, you always have to have awareness to him, depending on what the coverage is, where he's aligned at. Are they blitzing him? Are they playing him off the ball? Are they covering him, in this situation? So, yeah, you have awareness to a guy like that. Certainly, he's been a Pro Bowler for a reason. So look forward to having him out there against us, and hopefully we can do a good job against him.
What have you seen from Jalen in these 2 weeks he's been here?
The thing Jalen brings is energy and juice. I mean, that guy's always juiced up. He's a ultimate pro. You know what I mean? He comes in, right, regardless if he's playing or not, he's studying the same, he's asking questions, he's doing those things, brings effort on the field, right? I really like where he's at. He's in great shape. He's in a really good place.
Do you think he's ready to contribute? Right, I know it's not your decision to put him on the field, but do you, just from what you've seen, that he's good enough playing shape? And
I think Jalen's put himself, whenever he's called upon, he'll be ready to play.
I don't know how much you can answer this, but obviously he's a different player than when he first came into the league. How do you think he's different now than maybe, obviously different position?
I wasn't, I was with another team at the time when he was in Dallas, and I'm always, watch from afar, I think he's still doing a lot of those same things. I remember when seeing him on tape, he brought energy and juice out there on the field. He plays with great effort, and I think he's doing the same things now.
Why? And obviously it's a team thing and not just an inside linebacker thing, but you guys struggled against the run last week against the Cowboys. What did you see from an inside linebacker spot that maybe contributed to that?
I think it's a lot of things. I mean, it just comes down to, I think stopping the run comes down to just playing with good technique, you know what I mean? Getting off blocks, tackling, and those things. And I think every week we look to improve on that stuff, and we will do so this week.
Do you like the fact that you come off that game and the Bears might run more than Navy? You come into this game.
Yeah, they present a challenge in the run game, not only at the running back position but also at the quarterback position. And so, I mean, that from a linebacker, that's something you get excited about, and I know our guys are excited and are up for the challenge.
How much different does it make it if they don't have both guys in that backfield? If they just have Khalil instead of I'm drawing a blank here, their number one back.
I guess I don't quite understand your question. Say that again.
Does it make a difference if they don't have the two-headed monster instead of the? Because it sounds like
for us, I think the run game, regardless of who's out there and who's available, I think the run game is going to be a challenge that we've got to be able to meet.
Ready? I'm sorry if you were already asked this, Coach, but how ready is Jalen Smith?
I think Jalen's, he's done a great job of just having his body and getting mentally prepared, regardless of what his role might be from week to week. You know what I mean? He's just been a really good pro and understands that he's got to, stay ready, and he's done that.
How do you prepare for a guy like Fields, where obviously they run a lot of zone reads and read options? How do you prepare for a quarterback like that?
I think for us, it takes 11 players, on defense, and understanding their role and their responsibility in the run game, as it is, regardless if they have a running quarterback or a quarterback that they use in the run game. I think stopping the run takes all 11. It takes discipline and knowing your responsibility.
I know Micah hasn't had a lot of plays, but how do you feel like he's performed so far?
I think Micah is continuing to get better, and he's done that since the minute he's gotten here. You know what I mean? He's really stays in the playbook, understands, really studies, does the things that he needs to do. There's obviously things that he can work on, and all of our group and every player can work on. But I really like how he's been coming along.
Are you guys still getting comfortable with what you want to do inside because you've rotated guys in and out? I mean, obviously, you cut a veteran right before the start of the season. Yeah. So is it still a work in progress, I guess?
I think every week we're going to look at our personnel at all positions and trying to find, hey, where can we use our best skill set and put them in the best position for them to excel and to operate on the field.
Are you guys playing fast enough? Like Wink said something yesterday that resonated with me. Like if you have a slow middle linebacker, you have a slow defense. Are your guys playing fast enough, or are they still processing?
I think those guys are each week, you know what I mean? Each week they're looking to get better. They're understanding what offenses are doing against each other, and they're trying to do their responsibility to the best of their ability, and that's what we want from them.
How has Tay played?
I think Tay's done a really good job. He's, as our Mike, he's done a good job of communicating, getting our guys aligned, understanding what's going on offense. Man, I think I really like what Tay's doing.
He is towards the top of maybe this is just a product of the defense and being a linebacker who has a lot of tackle chances, but he's towards the top of the league in missed tackles. Is something he's doing wrong?
There's a lot of things that, as defensively we want to work on every week, right? Tackling is going to be one of them, and we put an emphasis. Tay works on it all the week, and we'll continue to get better each week as we go forward.
Saquon yesterday was talking about how we almost imagined it like the Hulk, that he said he knew that player was in him, but now it's coming out. You said a couple weeks ago the idea of you didn't know how it was going to be coaching a player of that caliber. When you see him attack things the way he's attacking now, is that satisfying as a coach, and does it also want you to push it even more so?
Well, to answer the second part, yes, you want to get the best you can possibly get out of your player, but also it's just confirmation. When you work with someone every day and you see their athletic ability, they're smart and they're fast, and you got these physical gifts. Once you go out there and see it all get put together, you're like, okay, well, that's confirmation that at least I can see, and I kind of know what talent looks like. And it's great to see him, make the play the other night, and we look for him to continue to do that.
You also said, talking about him, I mean, I would imagine you do that with every one of your players, the idea of getting to know them, knowing what makes them tick, how you can push them, what buttons you can push. What have you seen from Saquon? What buttons can you push for a guy who seems to be as motivated as he is?
Well, and that's the thing. He's extremely motivated. He has a really high care factor. So for me, it is always just trying to see if we can get the best out of him, because he always wants that. So I just really match what he is as a player. I don't know if I can ever be harder on him than he's harder on himself. That's the cool thing about Saquon. He wants to really be good. He wants to do it right all the single time. And that's my challenge, is to make sure that when there's an opportunity to do it, that, hey, we get the best out of him, and he's been doing a great job with that.
He said about that play the other night that went for the touchdown, that you guys had run it earlier in the game, and they caught him.
Yes.
What did you guys talk about that on the sideline?
Absolutely.
Because then he said in the huddle that Daniel basically told him, go get it this time, essentially.
Oh, absolutely. It's just a one-on-one with the safety, and that's our job. Our line did a great job blocking. They can block the first level, but as a running back, when our job is to that second and third level, make guys miss. That's where the big plays come. And at that particular time, the safety kind of caught him, and I said, all right, just make him miss, cross his face, and then, you see the result.
That was the jump cut.
Yeah, exactly.
Last thing I would ask you is, obviously with what happened with Shep, we know how close they are, and Saquon was pretty torn up about it after the game. Emotionally, you feel like you had to say anything to him in terms of watching his best friend go down?
Well, no, that's the thing. I think is, for me personally, you just sit back and just be there whenever he's ready to talk, and comfort him and those type of things. And I don't know Shep real well, but I got a chance to know him through his younger sister, through a previous relationship. So it's kind of like from one of the guys I work with. So I kind of felt like I've known him, but I don't really know him as well. So I just try to, hey, sit back. It is tough. Those are tough situations when they play this physical game with any teammate. You feel for him. So I'm just there for him if he needs me, and like I said, be supportive as much as I can be.
Gotcha.